Millionaire kissed a homeless girl to escape a forced marriage but fell for the lie he created. Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let us get back to our main character. Today's story is titled, Millionaire Kissed a Homeless Girl to Escape a Forced Marriage, but Fell for the Lie He Created. The night was colder than usual, the kind of cold that seeped into your bones and made the city lights look sharper, crueler. Inside the ballroom of the Ward estate, champagne glasses chimed beneath chandeliers worth more than most people's home. Guests laughed, posed, toasted, celebrating the engagement of Ethan Ward, the 32-year-old tech millionaire heir, to Vanessa Beaumont, daughter of a powerful banking dynasty. Only Ethan was not celebrating. His smile was tight, his hands clenched behind his back, and every word of congratulations felt like a chain tightening around his throat. Across the room, his mother's voice carried, proud and commanding, "Smile, Ethan. Tonight unites two empires." He could not breathe. He could not think. All he could see was the contract signed weeks ago, his name, her name, and the words business merger disguised as marriage. The cameras flashed. Vanessa leaned in to whisper, "Try not to look like you are being executed, darling." That was when Ethan made his move. He slipped away through the marble hallway, ignoring the security's calls, out into the rain, past the valet line, past the endless luxury cars that looked more like cages than freedom. His tuxedo jacket soaked within seconds. He did not care. 2 blocks away, at the corner of 5th and Monroe, a young woman sat huddled under the awning of a closed flower shop. Her name was Maya Brooks. The bouquet of wild daisies beside her was half wilted, but she still tried to sell them for $1 apiece. Her eyes were tired, yet kind, the kind that had seen too much disappointment and still found a way to hope. Ethan stopped. The paparazzi had followed him out, camera flashes cutting through the rain like lightning. In a second, they would have his face again, alone, humiliated, and the headlines would destroy what was left of his freedom. He looked at Maya. She looked back, startled. Before she could speak, Ethan stepped forward, his voice low but desperate. "Please, just go with it." And before she could understand, he pulled her close and kissed her under the streetlight. The rain poured harder, bouncing off their faces as flashes exploded around them. Gasps, shouts. "Who is she?" Ethan Ward kissed a homeless girl? Maya froze, her mind blank, her heart pounding against his chest. For a moment, time stopped the millionaire in a soaked tuxedo and the homeless girl holding crushed daisies between them. When he finally pulled away, breathless, he whispered, "I am sorry. I just needed a way out." Maya stared at him, speechless. As the paparazzi stormed closer, he grabbed her hand, his grip trembling. "Come with me, please, just until they are gone." And against every instinct she had, she nodded. They ran together down the empty street, splashing through puddles, chased by camera flashes and destiny neither of them understood yet. Behind them, the headlines were already being written, "Billionaire's Shocking Kiss in the Rain. Mystery Homeless Woman Stuns New York Society." Oh, Ethan did not know it yet. But that one reckless kiss would rewrite his life, destroy a lie built on money and power, and teach him what it truly meant to love without terms or contracts. Ethan and Maya ran until the sound of shouting and camera flashes faded behind them. They stopped under the dripping awning of an old bookstore, both breathless, water streaming from their hair and clothes. For a long second, they only stared at each other. Maya clutched her torn paper bag of flowers to her chest, unsure if she should run or demand an explanation. Ethan finally spoke, his voice low but clear through the rain. "I am sorry for what just happened," he said. "I should not have pulled you into this mess." Maya blinked, still shaking. "Who are you? Why did you kiss me?" He hesitated, glancing down the street where the reporters had disappeared. "My name is Ethan Ward. I had to make them believe that I am not engaged. I did not think it through, I just needed a way out." Her lips parted slightly. "Wait, you are that Ethan Ward? The millionaire from the papers?" He nodded once, rain dripping from his chin. Maya looked away, hugging herself. "You should not have done that. Those pictures will ruin me." They will not, he said quickly. I will fix this. I promise. Before she could reply, a sleek black car pulled up beside them. Ethan's driver, startled to see his employer soaked and holding a stranger's hand, opened the door without a word. Ethan turned to Maya. You cannot stay here. Come with me. Just until this dies down, I will make sure you are safe. Maya hesitated. The rational part of her screamed no, but the rain was cold, and the warmth in his tone felt oddly sincere. After a long pause, she stepped into the car. Inside, the air smelled of leather and cedar. Maya sat rigidly, clutching her bag of wilted daisies. Ethan removed his soaked jacket and draped it around her shoulders without thinking. She froze. No one had done that for her in a long time. As the car rolled through the glittering streets toward the Upper East Side, silence stretched between them. Finally, Ethan spoke, his tone softer. You sell flowers? Yes, she said quietly. Mostly leftovers from dumpsters behind the florist shops. I clean them up and resell them. It is enough for food, sometimes rent. At least, it used to be. Ethan looked at her reflection in the car window. Despite her soaked hair and trembling hands, there was dignity in her voice, something unbreakable. You did not ask for this, he said. I will handle the media. I will make sure they know it was my fault. She gave a tired laugh. Do people like me ever get that kind of fairness? He did not answer. When the car stopped, Maya stared through the tinted glass at the mansion gates ahead. The Ward estate looked even grander now, silent and intimidating beneath the rain. She turned to him, wide-eyed. Why are we here? Ethan sighed. Because hiding is no longer an option. If the press wants a story, we will give them one on our terms. What do you mean? She asked. He took a breath, meeting her gaze. I want you to pretend to be my fiancé, just for a while, until this blows over. Maya stared at him, speechless. You cannot be serious. I am, Ethan said firmly. You need a place to stay. I need a believable reason to end this forced marriage. We can help each other. The room felt smaller, the rain quieter, as she searched his face for any sign of mockery. There was none, only exhaustion and something close to desperation. If I say yes, she asked slowly, what happens after? Ethan looked out the window at the empty driveway. After this is over, you will be free. I will make sure you have enough to start again. Maya looked down at the coat he had given her. It was still warm, heavy with the scent of rain. For a man who lived behind marble walls, he looked strangely human tonight. Finally, she whispered, All right, but I am not doing this for money. He turned to her, meeting her eyes. Then do it for peace, for both of us. And in that moment, two people from opposite worlds made a silent agreement that would change everything. The rain outside eased, but inside the car, the storm had only begun. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the tall glass windows of Ethan Ward's penthouse, sharp and cold against the marble floor. Maya woke up on the edge of a couch that looked more expensive than everything she had ever owned. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming. Then she saw the city skyline spread wide before her, the smell of coffee drifting from the kitchen, and Ethan standing there, no tuxedo, no cameras, just a man in a white shirt with his sleeves rolled up. He looked different in daylight, tired, but real. Good morning, he said quietly, setting a mug on the table. I did not know how you like it, so I kept it simple. Maya hesitated before taking the cup. You did not have to. I owed you that much, he replied. And I have something we need to discuss. She sat up slowly, clutching the blanket around her. Ethan placed a folder on the glass table between them. Inside was a printed document, neatly clipped, each page stamped with his company's seal. This is a contract, he explained. It defines how we handle the situation. You pretend to be my fiancé for a few weeks. We attend the public events together, the press calms down, and my family backs off the arranged marriage. After that, I will make sure you are financially secure. You can walk away anytime you wish. Maya opened the folder and scanned the first lines. Her eyes stopped at the numbered clauses. Rule 1, no romantic involvement. Rule 2, keep the arrangement confidential. Rule 3, appear at family and company events when required. Rule 4, no interference in each other's personal lives. Her fingers lingered on the signature line. You really turned this into a business deal, she murmured. Ethan's jaw tightened. It is the only language my family understands. She looked up at him, her voice steady. Then I will add one more rule. He raised an eyebrow. What is that? I can leave whenever I feel I have had enough, she said. No penalties, no questions. For a moment, Ethan hesitated, then nodded. Agreed. He handed her a pen. Her hand trembled slightly as she signed, the ink smudging at the curve of her name. He took the contract, folded it, and slipped it into his briefcase. That small smear of ink would later matter more than either of them knew. A sharp knock echoed through the hallway. Ethan's assistant, a woman in her 40s with perfect posture, stepped in. "Mr. Ward, your mother is on her way up. She saw the photographs." Ethan's expression darkened. "Already?" Maya's eyes widened. "She is coming here?" He gave a short nod. "She will want to meet you. You might as well start practicing." Before Maya could reply, the elevator doors opened with a soft chime. A tall woman in pearls and tailored gray entered the room like a storm wrapped in silk. Her gaze swept across the room, landing on Maya with sharp disapproval. "So," she said coolly, "this is the woman who replaced a Beaumont." Ethan stepped forward. "Mother, please." "I thought you were reckless, Ethan," she interrupted. "But this is beneath even you. A homeless girl. Do you understand what this family stands to lose?" Maya rose slowly, her back straight. "With respect, ma'am, I did not plan any of this. Your son pulled me into it." For a split second, the woman's composure flickered. Then she gave a thin smile. "Honesty. How refreshing. Let us hope it lasts." She turned toward Ethan. "You want me to believe this farce? Then prove it. Bring her to the Beaumont dinner tonight. Let us see how long she can pretend." Ethan's mother left as swiftly as she had arrived. The room fell silent again, heavy with her perfume and disapproval. Maya exhaled slowly, setting the untouched coffee back on the table. "What have I gotten myself into?" Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. "I will handle it. You just need to follow the rules. Tonight, we make this official." She looked out at the city below, where people hurried through their real lives, unaware of the strange agreement unfolding above them. "Then I suppose I had better learn how to play your world," she said softly. Ethan met her eyes. "You might be better at it than you think." Outside, the city buzzed awake. Inside that glass tower, two strangers had just signed the first page of a story that was about to test everything they thought they knew about love, pride, and the price of pretending. The afternoon moved like a blur of mirrors, fabrics, and instructions. Ethan's assistant, Claire, took charge of transforming Maya from a street vendor into someone who could stand beside a millionaire without the world laughing. In the penthouse's guest suite, racks of designer dresses filled the air with the faint scent of silk and perfume. Maya stood in front of a mirror, overwhelmed by her reflection. The woman staring back was polished, elegant, and almost unrecognizable. Claire circled her like a strategist planning a campaign. Posture straight. Shoulders relaxed. Do not apologize when you walk into a room. Let them adjust to you, not the other way around. Maya nodded, though her hands still shook slightly. "I do not belong in that kind of room," she murmured. Claire gave her a brief look in the mirror. "Neither did I once. You learn." By evening, the car was waiting. The Ward family's driver opened the door as Ethan stepped out, dressed in a black suit sharp enough to draw attention even without the cameras. He paused when he saw her. For the first time, his practiced confidence faltered. "You look—" He stopped himself and cleared his throat. "You look appropriate for tonight." She smiled faintly. "I will take that as a compliment." As the car pulled away, the city glowed beneath the setting Sunday. Ethan adjusted his cufflinks, while Maya stared out the window, trying to calm the storm in her stomach. "Remember," he said, "my mother will watch your every move. Smile, but not too much. Speak only when spoken to, and do not let anyone make you feel small." That last part, Maya said, I have some practice with. When they arrived at the Beaumont mansion, the driveway gleamed with luxury cars and camera flashes. Every guest seemed sculpted from money and pride. Ethan offered his arm. "Ready?" "Not even a little," she whispered, but she took his arm anyway. Inside, chandeliers burned like suns, and the music was soft but tense. Conversations hushed as they entered. Ethan nodded to a few familiar faces. His grip on her hand stayed steady, as if grounding them both. Across the room, Vanessa Beaumont, the woman Ethan was supposed to marry, stood with a crystal glass in hand, her red lips curving into an elegant smile that did not reach her eyes. "Well," Vanessa said smoothly, stepping forward, "this must be the mystery woman. Quite the headline you made, Ethan. Maya could feel dozens of eyes pressing against her skin. Her throat tightened, but she met Vanessa's gaze head-on. I did not plan the headline, she said quietly. But I suppose some stories write themselves. A few guests laughed softly, surprised. Even Ethan's mother, seated nearby, lifted an eyebrow. Ethan's lips twitched the faintest ghost of a smile. Dinner followed, a theater of perfect manners and hidden insults. Vanessa's friends whispered behind their glasses. Ethan's mother tested Maya with polite traps disguised as small talk. When Maya accidentally used the wrong fork, Vanessa smirked. Do they not teach table etiquette on the streets? Maya set the fork down gently and looked straight at her. No, but they teach hunger. It makes you pay attention to what really matters. The table went silent. A moment later, one of the older guests chuckled. She has a point. By the end of the night, the tide had subtly shifted. People no longer whispered in pity. They whispered in curiosity. When Ethan escorted her back to the car, the air between them felt different, warmer, alive. He opened the door for her, his voice low. You handled yourself well. She turned to him, the streetlights reflecting in her eyes. I was not pretending, Ethan. I just told the truth. He looked at her for a long moment before answering. You should keep doing that. This family could use a little honesty. As the car rolled away from the mansion, Maya exhaled slowly. Somewhere deep inside, she realized she was no longer just acting. The role she had been forced into was slowly turning into something dangerously real. Above them, the city shimmered, indifferent to the quiet beginning of a love story born from lies but carried by truth. The following morning, the tabloids exploded. Every headline carried the same image: Ethan Ward and the unknown woman standing under the chandeliers at the Beaumont dinner. The caption read, From the streets to the stars, who is Ethan Ward's mysterious fiancée? Some called her an opportunist, others a Cinderella. Maya avoided the newspapers laid neatly on the breakfast table, but Ethan could see the tension in her shoulders. You should not read any of it, he said quietly, pouring her coffee. They do not know you. She managed a small smile. They do not want to know me. They just want a story. Then let us give them the right one, he replied. Tonight, there is a charity gala at the Aurora Hotel. The board members will be there. You handled yourself well yesterday. If we survive this one, they might start believing. Maya glanced up. Another test? More like a public performance, he said. But this time, you will not be alone. Later that evening, the grand ballroom glowed gold and silver, filled with the hum of polite conversation and the scent of expensive perfume. Maya wore a simple navy gown Claire had chosen, elegant but understated. Ethan offered her his arm as they entered the hall, every eye turning toward them. The music swelled, and whispers rippled through the crowd like wind over glass. At first, everything went smoothly. Ethan introduced her to a few investors, and she handled each conversation with quiet grace. But trouble came in the form of Mr. Chandler, one of Ethan's toughest board members, a man who distrusted every decision Ethan made since taking over the company. So this is your fiancée, Chandler said, swirling his champagne. I must admit, Ward, your taste has changed. Ethan's jaw tightened. She is not here for your approval. Chandler smirked. Relax. We all understand what this is. A little distraction before the real deal. He turned to Maya with a patronizing smile. Tell me, dear, what is it like to wake up one day and suddenly belong to the world of the rich? Maya met his gaze steadily. It is strange, she said. People look at me as if I do not belong, yet none of them seem to ask themselves why they think they do. A quiet silence followed. The older man blinked, taken aback, while a few guests nearby stifled their laughter. Ethan could not hide his pride. After the dinner, Ethan's mother approached. For the first time, her tone was not purely cold. You surprised them tonight, she said to Maya. You might even have surprised me. Then I suppose we are even, Maya replied softly. When they left the gala, the night air felt lighter. Ethan walked beside her toward the car. No cameras this time, just the soft hum of traffic. You keep doing that, he said, turning every insult into a lesson. She smiled faintly. When you have nothing, you learn to use words as armor. He looked at her, his expression softer than usual. You do not need armor here. For a moment, they stood under the quiet glow of the streetlights, neither of them speaking. It was the first time Ethan realized he had stopped thinking of her as a solution to a problem. She was becoming part of the answer he had never looked for. Back in the car, Maya rested her head against the window. The city lights streaked past like falling stars. She did not know where this arrangement was heading, but for the first time since the night of the rain, she felt seen not as a headline, not as a mistake, but as herself. Ethan glanced at her reflection in the window. "You know," he said softly, "you make pretending look dangerously real." She turned, half smiling. "Maybe you are the one pretending, Ethan." The silence that followed was not awkward. It was warm, fragile, and alive. Two strangers caught between truth and illusion, standing on the edge of something neither had planned but both were beginning to feel. That night, the city seemed quieter than usual. After the gala, Ethan and Maya returned to the penthouse in silence. The glow of the skyline bled through the glass walls, painting long streaks of silver across the floor. Maya slipped off her heels by the door and exhaled, exhausted. "You handled yourself perfectly," Ethan said, setting down his phone. "Even my mother had nothing to criticize." Maya gave a tired laugh. "That might be the biggest miracle so far." He smiled faintly. "You are getting good at this." She looked at him across the living room, her voice soft but steady. "You say that like I am training for something." "Maybe you are," he replied. "You are learning to survive in my world." She folded her arms. "Then maybe your world needs fixing." Ethan blinked, caught off guard by her tone. But there was no anger in her eyes, only quiet conviction. "You are not afraid to tell me the truth, are you?" he asked. "I have spent most of my life being invisible," she said. "Now that someone finally sees me, I will not pretend just to keep the peace." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The city outside hummed like a distant sea. Then Ethan walked to the grand piano near the window and touched one of the keys absently. "You know," he said, his voice lower, "I did not build all of this for myself. My father did. I just inherited the weight of it. Every decision I make is judged by his shadow." Maya sat down on the couch, watching him. "And that is why you let your family decide who you marry?" He turned toward her, his expression tightening. "It is complicated." "No," she said gently. "It is simple. You are afraid of losing control." Her words hung in the air. Ethan's eyes met hers, sharp but thoughtful. "You are not wrong," he admitted quietly. "But for what it is worth, you are the only person who talks to me like a human being." Maya looked down, her fingers tracing the edge of the blanket on the couch. "Maybe that is because I never forgot what it feels like to have nothing. It makes you value people, not titles." He sat beside her, close enough that she could smell the faint scent of rain still clinging to his shirt. "Do you miss it?" he asked. "Your old life?" She shook her head slowly. "I miss the parts where I still believed things could change, but lately, maybe I am starting to believe again." Their eyes met, and for a heartbeat, the air between them shifted. The tension that had been simmering since the night of the kiss came rushing back, quiet but undeniable. Ethan looked away first, clearing his throat. "I should get some rest," he said softly. "We have a press conference in the morning." Maya nodded, though her chest felt heavier than before. "Good night, Ethan." He paused at the hallway, turning slightly. "Good night, Maya." When he was gone, she sat in the stillness of the penthouse, staring at the city lights beyond the glass. Somewhere in that glittering distance, she could still hear his words. "You are the only person who talks to me like a human being." Maya smiled faintly to herself. She knew she should keep her heart guarded, but something in him, the cracks beneath the confidence, the quiet honesty had already begun to reach her. In another room, Ethan lay awake, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in years, he was not thinking about business deals or deadlines. He was thinking about a girl who had nothing, who looked him in the eye and told him the truth. And for reasons he could not explain, that truth made him feel more alive than all his success ever had. Outside, the city lights flickered against the glass. Inside, two people on opposite ends of the world's power learned the same quiet truth, that loneliness feels the same, no matter how high you live above the ground. The next morning began with noise. Ethan's phone buzzed relentlessly before sunrise. When he finally answered, his assistant's voice trembled. "Sir, you need to see this. The tabloids have published something new. It is everywhere." Ethan sat up, his chest tightening. "What did they post?" "Not the photos from the gala," she said quietly. "Something worse. Someone leaked her background, Maya's background." He froze. Downstairs, Maya was already sitting at the kitchen counter, pale and silent, a newspaper unfolded in front of her. Across the glossy pages were words she had hoped to bury forever. Homeless girl turned fiancé Ethan Ward's engagement built on lies. Her photo from the flower shop filled half the page. Her past, her eviction records, even the charity shelters she had stayed in, all printed in black and white. When Ethan walked in, she looked up, her eyes glassy but calm. "So this is what it feels like," she said softly, "to be exposed." "Maya, listen to me," he began. "I will find out who did this." She folded the paper, her voice steady but distant. "You do not have to. It is true. I was homeless. I slept under bridges. I sold flowers that no one wanted. Now the world knows. It changes nothing." "It changes everything," Ethan said sharply. "You do not deserve this. Someone wants to destroy you to destroy us." Maya gave a small, sad smile. "There is no us, remember? It was all a contract." His heart twisted at her words. "It was never just that, Maya, you know it." Before he could say more, the elevator doors opened. His mother stormed in, holding her phone, her face pale with fury. "Ethan, have you seen the news? This scandal has gone too far. You will end this nonsense immediately." "I will not," he said, his voice low but firm. She stared at him, stunned. "You are defending her?" "I am protecting her," he corrected. "There is a difference." His mother's expression hardened. "Do you even know what this will cost you? The investors are calling. The board is furious. They will remove you if this continues." "Let them try," Ethan replied. "If they cannot see the difference between a person and a headline, they can have the company. I am done living for their approval." Maya stepped forward, her voice shaking. "Stop, both of you. This is my mess, not yours. I will go. It is better for everyone." Ethan turned to her, his face stricken. "You are not going anywhere." "I have already caused enough trouble," she said. "You wanted peace, remember? You cannot have that if I stay." He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. The faint smudge of ink from her signature still marked the edge of the contract lying on the counter, a quiet reminder of everything that had started between them. "Maya, please," he said. "Do not walk out like this." She looked at him for a long moment. "You promised I could leave whenever I wanted. I am taking that rule now." The words cut through him deeper than he expected. Without another glance, she turned and walked toward the elevator. The doors closed softly, leaving behind the echo of silence and the scent of wildflowers that had followed her from the streets. Ethan stood motionless. His mother's voice broke the stillness. "You see, this is what happens when you mix business with pity." He looked at her, his eyes cold. "No, Mother, this is what happens when you mistake control for love." When she left, Ethan sat at the counter, staring at the smudged signature on the abandoned contract. The ink had faded, but the promise it carried had not. Outside, reporters swarmed the gates, shouting questions he refused to answer. Inside, he made a silent vow. He would find who exposed her, and he would make it right. But deep down, he already knew the truth. He was not fighting for an agreement anymore. He was fighting for the only thing that had ever felt real. For 2 days, the Ward penthouse felt like a museum of silence. Ethan barely slept. He ignored the board's phone calls, refused every meeting, and spent most hours staring at the city that had once made him feel powerful and now only reminded him of what he had lost. Maya was gone, and with her, the noise of sincerity that had once filled the sterile rooms. On the 3rd morning, he stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the fog crawl across Manhattan, when his assistant, Claire, entered with an envelope. "Sir, you might want to see this," she said quietly. Inside was a printed email thread forwarded screenshots from the company server. One name glared up at him, Vanessa Beaumont. The leak had come from her. She had bribed an employee to expose Maya's past to the press. Ethan's jaw tightened. "Schedule a press conference," he said, "for this afternoon." Claire hesitated. "The board will try to stop you." "Let them," he replied. "This time, I will speak for myself." At noon, the ballroom of the Aurora Hotel filled again, but this time not for champagne or laughter. Cameras lined the walls. Reporters waited with sharpened questions. Ethan stepped to the podium alone, dressed simply in a dark suit. The room quieted. "Good afternoon," he began. "I know many of you are here to ask about the stories circulating this week. I will save you the trouble. They are true. Maya Brooks did live on the streets. She did sell flowers. She did not grow up in privilege. But what those headlines forgot to mention is what I have learned from her, that character has nothing to do with where you start and everything to do with how you keep standing. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Flashbulbs flickered like lightning. Ethan continued, his voice steady but charged with emotion. Someone within my circle used her past to humiliate her. That person no longer represents my company or my name. I will not build an empire that destroys dignity for profit. He paused, letting the silence hold his words. I once believed power meant control, but Maya showed me that real power is the courage to care when everyone else looks away. He left the podium to a storm of questions and camera flashes, but he did not stop to answer. Outside the hotel, a cold drizzle began to fall, soft and familiar. It reminded him of the night it had all begun, the night of the kiss in the rain. Later that afternoon, he arrived at a small brick building on the east side of the city, the community shelter where Maya had volunteered before disappearing. Inside, the smell of soup and detergent mixed in the air. Volunteers moved quietly through the hall. Then he saw her. Maya stood near a table, packing boxes of donated clothes. She froze when she saw him. Ethan? He walked closer, rain still dripping from his coat. I told the truth today, he said simply. About you. About everything. Ugh. She set down the box. Why would you do that? You will lose your company. Then I lose it, he said. But I will not lose myself again. You were right. I was afraid of losing control. Now I am afraid of losing you. Her breath caught, and for the first time in weeks, she saw no armor in his eyes, only honesty. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small folder. This is for you, he said, handing it to her. Inside was an official document transferring ownership of a new foundation, the Maya Brooks Fund, a program supporting women without homes. It is yours. You will run it however you want. She looked at him in disbelief. Why me? Because you turned my lie into something worth living for, he said. Because you reminded me what love is supposed to look like. Real, imperfect, and brave. For a long moment, neither spoke. The hum of rain filled the room. Then Maya stepped forward and hugged him, not as a contract or a performance, but as someone who finally believed she was seen. Ethan closed his eyes, holding her tightly. You once told me you could leave whenever you wanted, he whispered. Now I am asking you to stay because you choose to. And in that quiet shelter, surrounded by the sound of rain and second chances, the billionaire and the homeless girl finally found the same kind of home, one built not on wealth or rules, but on truth. A month later, the spring air in New York carried a quiet softness. The noise of the scandal had faded, replaced by a new headline. Ethan Ward launches Foundation for Homeless Women, names it after the woman who changed his life. Investors had returned. The company had stabilized, but for the first time, Ethan did not care about the numbers. His world had shifted to something far simpler, far more human. That evening, he stood outside the newly opened community garden behind the shelter. String lights glowed softly between the trees. Volunteers, donors, and reporters mingled politely, their laughter carried on the breeze. In the center of it all stood Maya, her hair loose, a clipboard in hand, smiling as she guided the guests through the garden she had helped build. Ethan watched her for a moment before walking closer. When she saw him, her expression softened into something quiet and warm. You came, she said. Of course I did, he replied. You built this. You should see how proud everyone is. She shook her head gently. It was not just me. People believed. That is what made it real. He smiled. Maybe, but you gave them something to believe in. They stood together, watching a group of women planting flowers in neat rows, the soil still damp from the morning rain. The smell of earth mixed with the sweetness of lavender. It was nothing like the cold, glittering galas he used to attend, yet somehow this felt richer than any of them. I remember the first time I saw you, he said quietly. You were holding a handful of wilted daisies. Maya laughed softly. And you ruined them with that ridiculous kiss. I regret nothing, he said, smiling. That kiss was the only honest thing I had done in years. For a moment, silence stretched between them, gentle and full of meaning. Then Ethan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. He opened it slowly. Inside was a ring, simple, silver, and elegant, its design shaped like a tiny vine twining around itself. I am not asking for another contract, he said. I am asking for something real. Stay with me, Maya. Not because you owe me anything, Stay because you want to. Her eyes shimmered in the light. Ethan, she whispered, I never wanted your money. I just wanted you to see me. I do, he said. I see you completely. Tears slipped down her cheeks as she nodded. Then yes. Oh, Ethan slid the ring onto her finger, his hands trembling slightly. The crowd nearby began to notice, whispers rising, then applause. But to him, the world had gone still. In that single instant, it was just her, the girl from the rain, the one who had turned a lie into truth. He pulled her close, their foreheads touching. Do you realize what you have done? He whispered. You turned my escape into a beginning. She smiled through her tears. And you turned my broken life into something worth living. The lights around them glowed brighter as evening settled over the city. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rumbled softly, but the rain never came. The air smelled like new beginnings. Later, as the guests drifted away, Ethan and Maya stayed in the garden, sitting together on the wooden bench beneath the string lights. He took her hand, tracing the small smudge of ink still visible on the corner of her signature from the old contract. I never cleaned it, he said. It reminds me how something imperfect can still be beautiful. Maya smiled, leaning her head on his shoulder. Then promise me we will keep it that way, messy, real, and honest. He nodded. Always. As the night deepened, laughter and music faded into quiet hums. The city lights blinked like stars above the skyline. And there, surrounded by flowers once rescued from the trash, a billionaire and a girl who had once sold them finally had everything money could never buy: peace, love, and a truth that would never need a contract again.